All right, thank you so much. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your day today to join us or watch this webinar on demand afterwards. Before we jump in, I did want to share one of my own personal mottos, and you might be familiar with this. It is check yourself before you wreck yourself. Think of it as a friendly reminder that if you catch issues early on, your requirements maybe won't come back to bite you later. My name is Morgan Costel, and I'm your friendly neighborhood customer success manager here at QRA. I help teams get the most out of QVscribe by giving them the building blocks for success through training, webinars like these, and ongoing guidance. Over the past several years, I've seen firsthand how QVscribe can really help teams spot clarity issues, standardize language, and build stronger, more testable requirements. With me today is Martin Fay, our awesome product manager. Martin oversees our full product line just to make sure that our tools actually solve real-world problems. He works really closely with all of our customers to turn their feedback into practical improvements, helping teams work smarter, reduce errors, and see measurable results. If you're new to QVscribe, it's a tool designed to help teams reduce communication risks, improve the clarity and quality of their requirements, and ensure consistency across projects. Today, we're really excited to introduce Snapshots and Timelines in QRA Cloud. These features turn your work that the team is already doing into something that's more visible, trackable, and shareable. By the end of this session, hopefully you'll understand how that they can help you show the progress over time in a way that leadership can understand and appreciate. So let's dive in today. All right, so here is what we will cover. We'll start with the challenges that teams face around requirements quality and why tracking progress really matters. From there, I'll introduce snapshots and timelines in the QRA Cloud and show how they make improvements visible. Then we'll move into a live demo so you can actually see this workflow in action. After that, I'll hand things over to Martin, who will give you a look at what's coming next with this platform. Then we'll wrap up with some key takeaways and have some time at the end, as Yana said, for a Q&A. So let's kick things off with a bit of a story. So meet Ron. He has QVscribe already, and they're doing great things with it in his team. They're catching clarity issues, they're identifying incomplete requirements, and making sure that every statement is unitary and verifiable. In short, they're doing great work to raise the quality bar. And the work they're doing now is saving a lot of pain and headache down the road. But here's the challenge. Even though the team is improving steadily, it's hard for Ron to show that progress. When leadership asks, are our requirements really getting better? His answer is usually yes, but the next question is always, how do we know? The team is putting in the real effort using QVscribe's feedback to fix long, dense sentences, reduce multiple shall statements, cut down on continuances, and remove vague words. They're doing the work, and it's really paying off in the quality. The challenge isn't fixing the requirements anymore. QVscribe is doing a great job helping with that. The challenge here is showing leadership the measurable impact of all of this effort. He's used QVscribe's reporting tools before to share the results to leadership, and they've worked really well to show the moment in time picture of quality, but they don't always tell the full story of how the quality is evolving. Ron can say, we've made a lot of improvements, and leadership will ask, that's great, but how much better are we this month compared to last month? And that's where snapshots and timelines can come in. They build on that same reporting foundation and make it visual and continuous. Ron can capture a snapshot each time he analyzes his document, and the timeline will connect those snapshots automatically. With these tools, Ron can finally connect the dots. He can show how an early draft of issues becomes a polished, fully reviewed set of requirements. He can track the pace of improvement, demonstrate the team's impact, and make that progress visible in a way that leadership can understand and appreciate. And Ron isn't the only one. A lot of teams are doing really great work to improve their requirements, but without a way to measure and show the progress, that effort can sometimes go unnoticed. And snapshots and timelines helps change that. They make the improvement visible and give teams the credit and recognition that they deserve. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Ron's team faces challenges that many of us here know way too well. Requirements can be vague or unclear. The same concept might be described in different terms throughout a document. Different systems of units might be in use, which can be very confusing. And information might be conflicting, repeated, or missing. QVscribe helps tackle these issues in 3 ways. Quality analysis helps to check to make sure requirements are clear, structured, and testable. Consistency analysis helps to standardize terms and ensures proper units are used throughout. And similarity analysis helps potentially identify those conflicts and redundancies. The team is improving quality day by day. With traditional reports, they could document those improvements, but now with snapshots and timelines, they can go even a step further. They can show that improvement visually over time. Leadership can see trends, track the quality scores, and understand the impact of their team's work. It's no longer just about fixing individual requirements, it's about telling the story of progress. And I like to think of QVscribe as the perfect combination of human and computer. People bring the context, the experience, and the ability to think through complex projects. QVscribe brings that objectivity, the speed, and consistency to find issues and apply best practices instantly. Together, they help teams to not only write better requirements, but also understand and now visualize how their quality improves over time. Now here is where it gets really exciting. So snapshots capture a moment in time view of your requirement's quality. So the scores, alerts, all recorded in one place. Timelines are made to connect those snapshots, so you can see how the quality evolves as changes are made. You can think of it as taking the reporting you already know and love and giving it a bit of a story arc, a visual way to show progress between those key moments. For managers like Ron, this is a big step forward. It's visible, undeniable proof of progress. Here is how it works step by step. So you start by opening the summary view in QVscribe for Web or running the analysis in QVscribe for Office. This shows the current state of your requirements, alerts, scores, potential problem areas. Then take a snapshot. That captures the baseline. Then make edits guided by QVscribe. You can fix some ambiguous language, break down long sentences, and improve consistency throughout. When you're all done with your session there, take another snapshot. Each one freezes your documents at that current time. It's just like saving a report, but this time, QRA Cloud magically connects them and automatically into a timeline. Over time, you start to build a visual record of progress without doing really any extra work. Finally, open up the timeline. Each snapshot appears as a point, giving you a visual record of progress. You can spot trends, measure improvements, and communicate the results clearly to stakeholders. Let's go back to Ron. So before snapshots and timelines, he could use reports to show snapshots in time, which was helpful all the time, but it was static. Now that information becomes part of a living and growing timeline. Each improvement his team makes is now visible and captured, and the progress is easy to see. In the demo we'll step into shortly, you'll actually see this in action, capturing a baseline, making edits, taking additional snapshots, and watching the timeline update as the quality improves. By the end, you'll see how snapshots and timelines turn those individual reports into an ongoing story of that continuous improvement. Simple to share, simple to understand, and easy to celebrate. All right, so now we'll jump into QVscribe to see snapshots and timelines in action. So here we are in a Polarian document. I'll start off by opening up the summary view. We can see all of the quality analysis scores and alerts, plus this nice histogram showing the score distribution. The document's average score is currently this 3.94 out of 5. This gives Ron a clear picture of where the document currently stands, which requirements need attention, and the breakdown of different problem types really helps us focus our efforts. Everything is ready for a snapshot. So before we make any edits, we will just take our first snapshot, and it's done. This captures the document's quality baseline, and later we can compare this to see the measurable improvements. This view here in this window is completely interactive, so we can actually filter by specific problem types to focus on certain issues. For example, let's click No Imperatives, and we'll use this to find our 2 examples for today. So our first requirement here, I'll open it up. It says, the smart doorbell sends a notification when someone is at the door. Right now, this has a score of 1 out of 5, and we see several issues here flagged. So the first of which is no imperative, so there's no clear testable action here. The second is a cross-referencing pronoun. The word someone is incredibly vague and very much open for interpretation, so we need to be much clearer here. We also see the event-driven EARS template has been detected. So EARS stands for the Easy Approach to Requirement Syntax, and it's one of the most widely used writing frameworks in systems engineering teams. Right now, this has been detected as an event-driven requirement, but in its current state, it is not compliant. So the great thing here is we can use all of this information to rewrite it. First, we'll go ahead and open the requirement in a new tab. This way we can open it up in authoring view and make edits. There we go. Next, we will go ahead and insert the EARS template for an event-driven. Then we will take the information above and the alerts that we got to rewrite this. So I'll go ahead and say when a visitor is detected at the front door, the system will say the smart doorbell. Got to be clear about that imperative, so we'll say shall. And then the system response, we'll put that as send a notification to the home owner's device. Now I'll remove that previous requirement and we get that update. So now the score jumps from that 1 out of 5 to a 5 out of 5. This requirement is now clear, measurable, and testable. We can also see the glossary feature coming into use here in this example. That way we can confirm the definitions for things like visitor, homeowner, and device, just to make sure everyone is on the exact same page when reviewing or implementing the requirement and they have the correct context. I'll now close out of authoring view, save my updates, and move on to the next example. So this one here says the smart doorbell records immediately when it detects motion. This one also has a 1 out of 5, and 2 familiar alerts are here. So we have no imperatives and we have cross-referencing pronouns. The thing that is new is non-specific temporal words. So we have this word immediately being flagged. And what's immediate for one person might be too slow or too fast for another. Without specific testable timing, the team can't implement or verify this behavior consistently. So we need to go ahead and update this. We'll follow similar steps as we did before by opening it in a new tab and putting it into authoring view so we can make changes. We'll go ahead and insert that event-driven template again, since that's what this is, and rewrite. So we say when motion is detected at the front door, the smart doorbell shall And let's say we went back to the team and decided start recording within 2 seconds. Once again, I'll delete that previous version. I'll go back to all alerts here, and we see the quality score, 5 out of 5 again. The impact is clear, and the requirement becomes much more precise and testable. Teams can actually interpret it and consistently verify it easily. I'll close out of here, save my changes, and move back to my main window. I'll close out of the summary view and just update the document so I have the most recent version of it. Now, let's take another snapshot to capture the improved state of the document. Every time we do take a new snapshot, we're creating a milestone that records progress. And for Ron, that means he can see exactly how his team's edits are improving requirement quality over time and demonstrate that progress to leadership. So I'll create the snapshot and we're ready to view the timeline. This will open it up in QA Cloud, and it's really where you start to see all of the work your team's doing come together. At the top here, we see this nice graph that shows your document's average score over time. Each point represents that snapshot, a moment in time, capturing exactly what the document looked like then. I really love this view because it turns something we tend to talk about kind of abstractly, like we've made progress, into something you can actually see. The line goes up and down based on real actual data. You don't have to explain that you've been improving. It's right there in front of you. The first snapshot serves as that starting point, that baseline. And maybe it's not perfect, and that's okay. It's your reference. And then as you work through rounds of edits and reviews, working with QVscribe's guidance and feedback, your new snapshots will capture those changes. Over time, you start to see the line rise, hopefully. And it's really a satisfying moment because each point represents something that your team did. Discussions, clarifications, and decisions. Below that here, you see the snapshot's history. This gives detailed context to each snapshot. We first see the average score of each document or each snapshot, the score distribution, so that histogram. You also see who created it and when, and which configuration was used. That way you can ensure consistency in your analysis and comparisons. When Ron opens up his first snapshot here, he sees that average score of a 3.94. The breakdown shows the common alerts for no imperatives and cross-referencing pronouns. Both are really common issues that make requirements hard to verify and trace. And that's really useful because now Ron knows exactly where to focus. It's not just some of this could be clearer. It's here are some of the categories where we can make some of the biggest impact. After his team makes edits like we did, simplifying sentences, clarifying language, and aligning to the ears patterns, they can take that second snapshot like I showed. And as we open it, we can see that the histogram now shifts more towards the green. And now the score rises to that 4.19 instead of the 3.94. We also see some of the alerts for those specific problem types have dropped noticeably. When you open the two snapshots side by side, you can see exactly what has changed. And you can track how the edits affected your overall quality. It's incredibly helpful for reviews and retrospectives. Instead of saying, we cleaned this up, you could potentially say something like, we reduced low scoring requirements by 40%. And in Ron's case specifically, we have fewer cross-referencing pronouns and non-specific temporal words. All requirements now have a clear imperative. There are no more 1 out of 5s, and we have an average score of over 4 out of 5. That is tangible, objective progress. And Ron's team can use this during project check-ins to see how process changes are working. They might look at questions like, are certain issues steadily decreasing? Are scores improving overall or just in specific areas? It's no longer just about numbers, it's what the numbers tell you. And then there's the bigger picture. So when Ron zooms out to something like the timelines overview, he can see the same story across his entire project. Every document has its own timeline. You can see the story and how it's trending, how active the team has been for those documents and improving it. It's quick to spot which documents are really coming together and what ones maybe need a bit more attention. That view may become his go-to for his team. It's not something you have to export or maintain, it's just there tracking quality progress in the background. And for leadership, it's a simple, credible way to see improvement at a glance. The conversation shifts from are we improving to where should we maybe focus next? For Ron, that's the real value. It's not about showing off how a perfect line is trending upward. It's about having the context to understand why things are improving, what's working well, and where there's still room to grow. It's a practical, honest view of progress, one that gives credit to the work teams are already doing while making that progress clear and easy to share. So, in just a few steps here, we've captured a baseline, made improvements, and watched the timeline bring that progress to life. Snapshots and timelines make continuous improvement visible in a way that's useful, measurable, and easy to communicate. And for teams like Ron, this really helps bridge the gap between improving requirements and proving their value, with the data speaking for itself. Now that you've seen snapshots and timelines in action, I'll take this opportunity to pass things over to Martin, who will share what's next for these features and how they fit into our roadmap. I will
Thank you,
stop
Morgan. Yeah.
sharing. There we
All
go. Your turn.
All right. Well, thank you, Morgan. And thank you to everyone in the audience for joining us today. So let me just share my screen here. All right. So yeah, I'm going to pick up where Morgan left off. And I'd like to give you a preview of what's coming with snapshots and timelines over the next few quarters. And every improvement I'll show you today comes directly from the experiences and insights shared by customers like you. So let me start with a big thank you for that. So to set the scene, let's return to Ron, our project manager, and introduce two of his teammates. First, we have Jasmine, a requirements author. She wants clarity on when her document is ready for review, as well as feedback on specific requirements. We also have Alex, a systems engineer. He's focused on traceability. Alex wants to be confident that changes to requirements don't create hidden risks downstream. And together, Ron, Jasmine, and Alex, they share a common goal. They want demonstrable progress towards getting the requirements done, where done means high quality, low risk requirements. So starting with Jasmine, so she's been hard at work. She's been improving her requirements, guided by QVscribe. And she's left wondering though, are the requirements good enough for review? And today, Timelines already gives us a clear picture of how quality improves over time. But soon teams will be able to set thresholds that define when a document is ready for review. That could be a minimum average score or a limit on the proportion of low scoring requirements. So here, Jasmine checks her latest snapshot and sees that, yes, average score is above the threshold. The proportion of low scoring requirements is acceptably low, ready for review. And so she'll be able to label this snapshot as a project milestone and then share a link with her team to prepare for a review. So there's no guesswork, there's no debate, just clear evidence that the document has reached the standard that the team has agreed on. So now Ron and Alex join Jasmine for the review meeting. And as Morgan showed, snapshots today, they indicate progress at the document level, and that's already powerful. But we're building on that. For example, teams will soon be able to see how many glossary terms are being used. So these are the terms that are approved and defined for your projects. And of course, the more your requirements use consistent approved language, the easier it is for everyone to stay aligned. We're also introducing estimated financial risk from low quality requirements. So this estimate is derived from decades of research into what is sometimes referred to as error cost escalation. And this is combined with scaling factors that are tailored, to your domain, appropriate to your project. The takeaway is pretty simple. I mean, low quality requirements cost money, and by making that visible, we're giving teams an even stronger case for investing in high quality requirements up front. No, a single snapshot is useful, but of course the real story is in the progress made between snapshots. And soon Ron and his team will be able to compare any current snapshot against a previous one. So here they can see how their requirements have improved since the last review. The average quality score has increased by nearly a full point, and the proportion of low quality requirements has dropped dramatically. It doesn't stop there. By limiting those issues, they've also reduced their estimated downstream risk by around $20,000. So it's not just about showing that the team has worked hard. It's also about proving measurable progress in quality, in readiness, and in reducing risk. But what if the team wants to drill down to the requirement level? Well, timelines will soon allow just that. They'll be able to zero in on the requirements most in need of review, say those with the lowest score, and those that have changed recently. And sometimes even a high scoring requirement deserves a closer look. For example, if a requirement has been modified many times, that volatility can indicate higher risk. And this really is the traceability that Alex, our systems engineer, has been waiting for. He can look not just at the overall document, but at individual requirements and see exactly how they've evolved over time. So this means fewer blind spots, fewer surprises, more confidence that nothing has slipped through the cracks. Of course, not every requirement can be improved. Some might come directly from the customer, or maybe legacy requirements that the team has no authority to change. And that can be frustrating. A low score can drag down the average and can block progress towards quality goals, and generally can be a distraction to the team. So in a future release, Ron and his team will be able to accept quality as is, and this will include recording a rationale for traceability, which makes Alex happy. And the requirement remains visible. It's just that the score will be in a faded state. And once quality is accepted as is, that score no longer counts against the average score. And if the requirement is changed later, this acceptance resets, encouraging a fresh review. So we can think of this as a accept, but don't forget. And this lets the team focus on what's actionable without losing visibility or accountability. Finally, let's zoom out to the portfolio level. So here, Ron can see the timelines for all of his team's requirements documents in one place. And as Morgan mentioned, you can quickly spot which documents are improving, which one needs attention, or which ones are ready to celebrate. In an upcoming release, Ron will also be able to compare progress in terms of financial risk across documents. So these estimates, again, based on error cost escalation research, give Ron even stronger evidence of his team's impact. So for team managers, this is more than a dashboard. It's a tool for communication. It shows leadership the ROI of improving requirements quality in terms of both quality metrics as well as the avoided financial risk. So to wrap up, snapshots and timelines are about more than quality scores. They provide progress you can prove towards high quality, low risk requirements. And the current release provides a solid foundation, focused for now on the document level. And what we've just seen, we'll build on that foundation in a steady cadence over the coming quarters. And again, most importantly, every one of these enhancements is inspired by insights shared by customers, including many of you joining us today. So again, thank you. Whether we're talking about progress within a single requirement, within a document, or across a whole portfolio, the overarching goal is the same: demonstrable progress to done at every step in the requirements journey. So with that vision in mind, I will pass things back to Morgan. Thanks again, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Martin. That's all so exciting. I might be biased, but I love seeing all that. All right, so back to a couple of slides as we wrap up here. When you zoom out, the real takeaway and real power of snapshots goes beyond just editing documents. They give teams a way to demonstrate effort, show measurable results, and communicate impact. They bring visibility to the work that's being done and give leadership a lot more confidence in the decision that they're making. To wrap things up, I want to bring it back to that bigger picture. Teams are already improving the quality of their requirements with QVscribe. That's great. Snapshots and timelines just take that progress and make it visible. They transform the invisible effort into visible results, making it easier to track progress, communicate value, and build trust across the projects. If there's one big takeaway, I guess you can take away from today, QVscribe doesn't just help you improve requirements, it helps you prove the value and impact of your work. With that, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll move into the Q&A portion of today's webinar. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat, as Yana said, and if we don't have time to get to them all today, we'll absolutely follow up with you afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say that we have no problems chasing you guys down after to answer any other questions or concerns you have. The first one I'm going to say is directed to Martin. When will some of these features become available for release?
Yeah, a good question. Yeah, so that does depend on the feature. We've covered a lot of ground, but I can give some rough timeframes. So I'd say by the end of the calendar year, look for enhancements in being able to label and share snapshots, as well as enhancements to the document level snapshot details. In early 2026, at that point, I would look for the requirement level review and history that we showed. And then it'll be around springtime of next year that the approve quality as is feature will be available. And I'm sure I've skipped some there, but generally there'll be a steady cadence of improvements released over the coming quarters on a regular basis. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll be busy doing some marketing. The next question, I'll leave it up to either one of you to decide who wants to answer. But if the project's already going, can they start using snapshots and timelines, or do they have to kind of wait till the beginning part of the next project?
Yeah, I can take that one. And Morgan, please jump in if I miss anything. Yeah, so the short answer is start anytime. So it is true that for the current release, that first baseline would be from whenever you first create a snapshot, and then you can track progress relative to that baseline. That's always worth doing, even if that happens mid-project. Absolutely. I didn't get into this today, but we are developing options to capture a snapshot retroactively, for the state of the requirements at an earlier point in time. And that could include, the beginning of a project. The details for all that will depend on the RM tool being used, but please stay tuned for that. Yeah, good question.
And then Morgan, I know you've touched on this, but someone was asking specifically, how is this different than when using reports?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did try to touch on it a little bit in my section. There is going to be overlap, especially for teams that have been using QVscribe for a while and are familiar with the reporting capabilities. The traditional reports are still there, and they're really great at sharing that single point in time. For example, if you just need the document results for audit or like a design review. But snapshots and timelines, as I said, it really just builds on the foundation of the reporting capabilities, making it more dynamic as opposed to static. Instead of creating reports and then trying to manually compare them, QA Cloud does that tracking for you, and you'll see that adapt over time with the new features that Martin talked about as well. You'll get a lot of the similar information, just more added, and you can see how everything's changing. It's not really about replacing the reports, I'd say. It's just about making sure that story arc that I talked about is continuous. Reports are snapshots in kind of like isolation, but timelines connect them, so you see that bigger picture.
Perfect. And we have a follow-up to this one as well. And it just
Mhm.
says, is it possible to report on which users are using QVscribe and how often?
That would be something more kind of on the admin side. More than happy. How about you reach out to me after this and we can talk about how you can look into that outside of
Perfect.
this. Yeah.
I will capture the information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. And I think that's it for time. I know there's probably a few questions that are going to pop up afterwards. Feel free to reach out to Morgan or Martin. I know they're always happy to chat and get more details, especially as we're trying to build out a product that works for the people that are using the product. And we really want to thank you guys for taking the time to kind of sit in. If you weren't able to make the live session, we get it. So we hope you enjoyed the on-demand version. So thanks, everybody.